Chapter 7, Train Your Mind to Expect Success. There is a silent force guiding every action you take. It does not shout. It does not announce itself. Most people never notice it. But it is always there. It is expectation. Expectation is the quiet architect behind behavior. It determines how you walk into a room, how you approach a challenge, how long you persist when things become difficult, how boldly you pursue opportunity, how quickly you recover from failure. Expectation is the invisible script running beneath your actions. And here is the truth that most people never confront. You rarely perform beyond what you expect of yourself. Your actions tend to rise or fall to meet your expectations. If you expect things to collapse, your behavior becomes cautious. If you expect rejection, your voice weakens before you even speak. If you expect obstacles to defeat you, your effort fades when the first resistance appears. Expectation shapes energy. Expectation shapes preparation. Expectation shapes persistence. This is why trailing your expectations is not motivational philosophy. It is strategic psychology, because people move toward what they believe is likely, and they quietly sabotage what they believe is impossible. Expectation drives behavior. Look carefully at the people who seem to rise repeatedly, not once, not twice, but again and again. The outside observer often calls them lucky. But luck rarely explains consistent success. Something else is operating. These individuals expect progress. They expect solutions. They expect momentum. This expectation changes how they move through life. They prepare more carefully. They commit more fully. They endure longer. Because they are not merely hoping things will work, they are operating under the assumption that progress will eventually appear. Expectation drives behavior. Now consider the opposite. Think about someone who quietly believes things never work out for them, someone who carries the expectation of disappointment. Watch how they behave. They hesitate before trying. They pull back when resistance appears. They interpret small setbacks as confirmation that failure was inevitable. Their expectation quietly becomes prophecy, not because the world conspired against them, but because expectation altered behavior. Expectation drives behavior. This is the subtle difference between the spectator and the builder. The spectator studies possibility. The builder prepares for it. The spectator wonders if success might happen. The builder expects progress if effort continues. The spectator waits for reassurance. The builder moves forward with conviction. Expectation drives behavior. Now you may ask a powerful question. If expectations shape behavior, where do expectations come from? The answer is simple. Repetition. Repetition of thought, repetition of images, repetition of experience, repetition of belief. The mind forms expectations by studying patterns. If the mind repeatedly sees failure, it begins predicting failure. If the mind repeatedly rehearses doubt, it begins expecting doubt. But the same mechanism that builds negative expectation can also build powerful confidence, because expectations can be trained. Expectation drives behavior. Think about an athlete preparing for a major competition. Before the event ever begins, the athlete has rehearsed success hundreds of times in the mind. They have visualized the movement, the timing, the execution, the outcome. Their brain has experienced victory before the body performs it. This mental rehearsal changes something profound. The unfamiliar becomes familiar. The intimidating becomes manageable. The impossible becomes expected. And when the moment arrives, The body performs in alignment with the mind's expectation. Expectation drives behavior. This principle applies to every area of life: business, relationships, leadership, personal growth. The mind performs best when it believes success is within reach. So the question becomes, how do you train your mind to expect success? The first step is clarity. Expectation cannot grow in confusion. The mind must know what it is moving toward. Vague goals produce weak expectation. Clear vision produces powerful anticipation. If you do not know where you are going, your mind cannot prepare you to arrive. So builders define targets: specific, visible, measurable. They create a destination for the mind, because once the destination becomes clear, expectation begins forming. Expectation drives behavior. The second step is visualization. Visualization is not fantasy. It is mental rehearsal. It is the process of allowing the mind to experience success before it physically happens. Builders do this deliberately. They imagine the completed project. They imagine the successful presentation. They imagine the disciplined routine. They imagine the finished goal. Not occasionally, but repeatedly. The mind begins treating these images as familiar territory, and familiarity reduces fear. When the mind sees something often enough, it stops treating it as impossible. Expectation drives behavior. But visualization alone is not enough. It must be paired with action, because expectation grows strongest when imagination and experience reinforce each other. You imagine the goal, then you take action toward it. The action produces progress. The progress strengthens belief. Belief strengthens expectation. Expectation fuels more action, and a powerful cycle begins. Expectation drives behavior. This cycle is what builders rely on. It is not a burst of motivation. It is a feedback loop. Action creates evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Belief strengthens expectation. Expectation produces stronger action. Over time, identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes for success. You begin seeing yourself as someone who produces it. Expectation drives behavior. Now let us discuss something equally important: persistence. Expectation determines how long you stay in the game. If you secretly expect defeat, every obstacle feels like confirmation. But if you expect eventual progress, obstacles become temporary puzzles. Builders encounter the same setbacks as everyone else. The difference lies in interpretation. Where others see proof of failure, builders see proof of process. Where others retreat, builders adjust. Where others stop, builders continue, because they expect solutions to appear if effort continues long enough. Expectation drives behavior. This expectation creates resilience. Resilience is not emotional toughness alone. It is belief in eventual progress. A person who expects success interprets failure differently. Failure becomes information. Failure becomes feedback. Failure becomes refinement, but never final verdict. Expectation drives behavior. Now imagine the long-term impact of this mindset. Years of expecting progress, years of preparing for opportunity, years of persistent action reinforced by belief. Slowly but inevitably, the results accumulate. Skills sharpen, confidence stabilizes, opportunities expand, momentum builds, and from the outside it appears as though the person suddenly succeeded. But the truth is simpler. They trained their mind to expect success, and expectation changed behavior. Expectation drives behavior. Now we arrive at an essential warning. Expectation must be rooted in effort. Blind optimism without action becomes delusion. But disciplined expectation combined with effort becomes power. Builders do not sit idle waiting for outcomes. they prepare, they study, they practice, they refine, they act. Expectation becomes the fuel behind disciplined effort. Expectation drives behavior. Here is a practical exercise for training expectation. Every morning before the day begins, remind yourself of 3 commitments. First, the direction you are building. Second, the actions you will take today. Third, the identity you are strengthening. Repeat these commitments clearly, not emotionally, but deliberately. You are programming the mind. You are teaching it what to expect. Over time, the mind begins aligning with these instructions. Expectation drives behavior. Another powerful practice is reviewing progress. At the end of each day, reflect on actions completed, not just outcomes, actions. Did you move forward? Did you execute the plan? Did you maintain discipline? Every small action becomes evidence, and evidence strengthens expectation. Expectation drives behavior. Gradually, something fascinating happens. Your mind stops asking whether success is possible. Instead, it begins asking how to accelerate it. Confidence becomes quieter, but stronger, because it is rooted in repetition. Expectation drives behavior. Now we return to identity. When you train your mind to expect success, you begin behaving like a builder. Builders do not drift through life. They plan, they prepare, they execute, they adjust, they repeat. They expect progress because they produce effort, and that identity becomes self-reinforcing. Expectation drives behavior. So, as this chapter comes to a close, remember this principle. Your mind is not simply reacting to reality, it is predicting it. It is preparing for it. It is shaping it. Your expectations are quietly guiding your actions every day. Train them carefully, because expectation can either trap you in hesitation or propel you into growth. Train your mind to expect progress. Train your mind to anticipate opportunity. Train your mind to persist through resistance, because expectation drives behavior, and behavior builds identity, and identity shapes destiny. But expectation alone cannot carry you all the way. At some point, expectation must transform into independence, because a person who expects success must also learn to move without needing constant reassurance from others. Many people never reach their potential for a simple reason. They keep waiting for approval. Approval from friends, approval from family, approval from colleagues, approval from the crowd. And while they wait, their momentum disappears, their vision fades, their courage weakens. The builder cannot live that way. The builder learns something powerful. The moment you depend on approval, you quietly give away control. So the next step in strengthening your identity is learning how to stand firmly in your own decisions, to move forward even when others doubt, to build even when others criticize, to trust your direction without waiting for applause. That is where we go next. Chapter 8, Stop Seeking Approval. If the next chapter is already available, you will find it in the description of this audio. And if you want to continue this journey of building an unbreakable identity, make sure to follow this channel so you don't miss the next chapter. Stop Seeking Approval.